Heyo, and welcome back to my channel. If you hear people talking in the background, that is my little brothers being little scholars. So, as usual, like, I don't ever really know what I'm doing, but today what I wanted to do was share a little bit from my special journal. This is my very fancy book that my sister Esther bought me. And this is where I write all my really pretty thoughts because it's so pretty that what else could go in here. Honestly, it's kind of where I go when I want to write a song but like I don't have the music, or like I don't know how to put the words into a rhyme scheme, or there's not enough words to fill a song, or there's way too many words to try to put into a song. And so it's just like interesting thoughts. I usually have like one sort of concept, and then this is where I start fleshing it out, and it goes places like I never thought it would, and it all ties together, and it's really cool. And that's what I like about writing, is I don't have to have it all figured out to start. Once I do start going, it all kind of comes together. Also, I'm just hoping that these aren't too distracting or too ugly, that you hopefully can't see them very well. So I'm gonna like leave them up and compare this video with my last one, and then decide what I'm gonna go with on my third video, because it's a lot of trouble to like unhook everything and untangle it afterwards. But oh, I can show you what they look like, because it's very distracting when I'm here because the camera can't focus on anything, but I can just like flatten myself upon the bed and you can see what my lovely lights look like. They're so cool because they have so many different settings. There's this one, there's this one, there's this one. These all look the same, and they dance. This is for if you're in a very sparkly little mood. This is for when you're bopping out. This is like my energy levels in the morning. I'm like, I'm okay, no. This is for if you want to have a seizure. I don't think it's physically possible to turn them off. There we go. Anyway, those are my lights, and I hope that you like them because I really like them. They're pretty great. Anyways, that's what we were trying to talk about. I'm going to have to do a completely separate video to try to flesh out another aspect of this, because this is tied to a whole other realm of thoughts. But it's kind of this concept of, why should I share the things that are special to me, because I know they won't mean as much to anybody else. No one's probably going to take them the way that I intended. So like with my creative works, I'm like, I don't want to show them because what if people don't appreciate them? Like, I know they're not going to care as much as I do. So is it worth risking that, or like hoping that it can be good and then being disappointed? Is that worth it? I don't know. Same with like the things that I think about God. Like, it's easier in this setting because no one can interrupt me, or like I can't see the reaction. But I don't know, like, it's really hard for me to articulate my beautiful thoughts. Just these things that matter so much to me. First of all, it's so hard to try to express that to anyone else, and then there's also this doubt of, is it worth it? What good could actually come of this? Because their story isn't my story, and they're not going to receive it the way that I receive it. Maybe something that was so special to me means kaput to them. Maybe like the way that I see God, they're like, heresy! Maybe like my testimony doesn't really matter, or like try to witness to people who don't understand. Like, how do I tell them these beautiful things about God when they just have no idea who he even is yet? How could they understand? It's just never gonna make the difference or the impact that it made to me. And so this is kind of me like wrestling through that. And so yeah, kind of one aspect of it. I could just go ahead and talk about the second aspect next week, me like a part 2, but I wanted to read this because I like it and I haven't read it in a while, and I wanted to read it. I'm like, why not just read it on the camera? From December 21st, 2021, many moons ago. I have a story. I want to tell it. Would you listen? There's so much I want to say, I don't know how to say it all. These formless words that burn inside me, they won't come out quite right. This soul I want to capture for the worlds, this heart I want to put down on paper, it's elusive. I could try 1,000,000,000 times, crossing out and erasing until my pages are lined with red ink, until my blood is shed for this tale I want you to hear, and it would never be quite what I wanted. There aren't words for this story that has touched me so deeply it's left its imprint on my soul. And even if I could get it out, if I could pin down these words, would they make their way into your heart? The hardest part of all this, I think, is that I can never truly share this moment with you. What these words mean to me, they will never quite mean exactly the same thing to you. No matter how clearly I try to express it, your heart is different from mine, beloved. Your story is different from mine, beloved. So how these words enter your soul isn't entirely up to me. The cadence of his voice, as he whispers each line to your heart, isn't entirely up to me. The conclusions you draw aren't entirely up to me. Which parts make you laugh and which parts make you cry, they aren't entirely up to me. The way this, my story, alters your life forever isn't entirely up to me. And that's hard, dearest, because I want to share this adventure. It's hard to be so excited, so shattered, so triumphant, and to not be sure if you share my wonder. This is my world, my story, and I can let you in to walk it with me, to marvel at what I've created. But it's mine, not yours. My words speak this world into being, and you only listen. I've bled and cried and fought my way through this adventure, where you only get to read the epics after history has been made. You can cry with me, but you can't cry with me in exactly the same way. We can experience it side by side, but can we experience it together? And it's hard, dearest. It's so, so unbelievably hard to cut through this darkness to find this speck of light, to chisel at this unhewn diamond with a feather until it's worth something. It's so hard to slog through the quicksand until you finally catch that firefly, without sinking and losing it all. That's what it's like to tell a story sometimes, beloved. You pour your heart into it, hoping to find one day that it has a heart that beats on its own. You wrestle with wonder morning to night, trying to pin it down and hold it still long enough to uncover its secrets. For the sake of its magic, you try to tame what cannot be tamed without losing its magic. It's a difficult dance, and sometimes you want to set the world on fire and walk away without a single glance back. But you always have to come back, have to dig through the ashes to see what can be done with them. Perhaps find more diamonds if you search deep enough under the weight of what you've done. Pick up your feather and keep going. So why do I write then, beloved? I don't quite know the answer. I only know that something deep within me compels me to. I only know that I'm in search of an adventure I can share with you, and even if I know I'll never quite find it, I want to keep looking. I only know that there are stories hidden in my story, and I need to tell them to make sense of this greater tale. I only know I desperately need these stories, so I will tell them until others do. I only know that I need you. Beloved, when I'm finished, and you're finished, and this tale stands between us, finally told, promise me you won't stay here. Maybe you don't quite understand. Maybe you're scared of the adventure. Maybe you think that if you try to chase down this wonder, you'll destroy it. I know. Me too. I risked my heart in this endeavor, and I barely made it out alive. Things get broken in you, dearest. But more beautiful things get rebuilt. And maybe you're not sure it's worth your blood and sweat and tears. Maybe you're right. But would you try for me? Maybe I don't want you to hear my story the same way I do. Maybe I want it to touch you in new places I never would have thought to imagine it could. Maybe I need you to hear it, because you'll find something in it I never knew was there. Maybe I need to tell it to you, because it could spark something new. Maybe these words and feelings could collide with your story and create a fire in you. Maybe it just makes a mess that you're forced to finally sort out. But maybe it would push you to an epic of your own. Maybe you would remember your own secret paths and hidden memories, your own shortcuts to wonder's haunting grounds. Maybe the fire would create a burning need to write your own story. Would you tell me that story, beloved? In exchange for mine, would you tell me your tale? I wrote mine because I need you. I need your stories. And maybe somehow this child of my heart can induce your labor pains. I need you to go chase down wonder for me and tell me another story. There's a deep magic, a deep truth here somewhere, and I need you to help me find it. Bring me a new adventure. Don't try to stay here. This is my world, my words and my emotions and my heart poured into this. You don't belong here forever. I let you in, so you would discover the way to your own world, so your own words could pour forth to create life and beauty. Please, would you try to find it? And maybe it doesn't seem like it matters. Maybe it seems like all these stories are just the same old tired words. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is all the same story we've heard across the ages 1,000 times. But maybe, beloved, if we heard it 1,001 times, we would finally begin to understand. And that about sums it up. It's just kind of this piece with my story being different from everyone else's, and this piece that they're not going to experience everything the way that I'm experiencing it. But the point of that is so things don't get old. Like, it's not like I've discovered all that there is to discover. The point is for it to be a catalyst, like dominoes toppling over. And like the way that I am colliding with another heart is going to set them off. And it's going to help them create their own wonder and tell their own stories and like explain to me how they experience God and how they see the world around them and what kinds of things move their heart and make them want to tell stories. And so then I think it's really beautiful to step out in faith, not knowing if anyone's going to understand, but just to say it anyway, in the hope that maybe they will. And they won't just hear it, experience it, and be like, I get you, like, I understand. But that there would, because they have such a separate life and such a separate story and such a separate heart, there would be a little twist, like one way that it strikes them differently that they can share with me, and then that can be encouraging and encourage me to write my own new stories. Because if the only reaction was ever like, wow, that's good, I understand, where does that get you? And while it'd be so beautiful to be fully and deeply and truly known and understood, I know that's a longing that's going to get fulfilled in heaven, and so I can be okay with it not quite being like that right now. Even though sometimes that's still hard. But right now, the beauty of that is the way that people can discover things I would never have thought of. Even like finding parts of my story and showing me things that I was like, I didn't realize I put that in there. Like, wow, I didn't ever see that before. But that's so good and that's so true. And like helping me understand my story a little bit better because of their perspective. Someone dying down there? Are they okay? I think they're trying to murder each other, but I'm not sure. Anyway, those are all the random thoughts that I have for today. I don't want to try to talk too much about it because I feel like that kind of ruins the impact. But thank you for watching and goodbye until more interesting things happen. Come back for part 2 of this thought process.